So I'm almost certain there's one thing that everybody's gonna do when they see this movie is hold their breath when Tom Cruise is in the water and see if they can hold it just as long as he is. So, yeah. So Mission Impossible Rogue Nation is directed by Christopher McQuarrie and stars Tom Cruise, Jeremy Renner, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, and Ving Rhames. So after the US government dissolves the IMF, Ethan Hunt and his team go on a mission to try and prove the existence of the Syndicate. So right off the bat, that sounds awesome. This movie is really good. I had so much fun in this movie. And this film is the 5th installment of this franchise. And I've been a fan of Mission Impossible since the very beginning. I can remember seeing the very first one, and to see it evolve into this big Goliath of a franchise, it's awesome. Yeah, it had its stumbles along the way with Mission Impossible 2, found its footing in 3. Ghost Protocol just blew my mind. I really love that movie. Ghost Protocol is still my favorite Mission Impossible film, but this one is a really close second because this movie blended everything you love about Mission Impossible so well, and especially Ghost Protocol. What I liked about Ghost Protocol, it had this light air of humor. It wasn't so overbearing. This movie blended action and espionage and humor so well. And speaking of the action in this film is awesome because you see in the trailer with the whole Tom Cruise hanging off the airplane thing, and you're like, that's gonna be the biggest action sequence in this movie. And it's not. That's one of the first action sequences in the movie that they open with, and then from there, it just builds on top of that. Every action piece in this movie gets better and better. My favorite part of this movie was the motorcycle chase. This is probably one of my favorite, if not the best, motorcycle chases or chase scenes that I've ever seen, period. The angles they pick and the cuts that they make, it's just, you feel every crash, every turn they take, and all the traffic that they're weaving in and out of it. It's just so awesome, and it gets you all pumped up. And one of the things I think this one has over Ghost Protocol is the espionage, because it's kind of going back to like the whole spy tech and more type of suspense type of spy film. I think that's where this movie sort of topped Ghost Protocol a bit. And also the performance in this film. Everybody handles their role, and they each have a role to fill in this movie, and they all filled it very well. Tom Cruise brings everything he has to the character of Ethan Hunt. You can tell that he just gives his all when it comes to this film. He has such history with this franchise, and you can tell he wants this franchise to succeed, and he just gives everything he has to this role. This guy is hanging off of an airplane as it takes off and flies around. If that's not dedication, I don't know what is. And I said before, the humor is very well placed in this one, and it's thanks to Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg's comedic timing and the way he delivers all of his lines is just so perfect in this film. It's a lot like what I thought of Ant-Man. Ant-Man blended comedy into each scene very well, and that's what Simon Pegg did for me in this movie. The moments where you're supposed to laugh in this film, it doesn't take away from the suspense or the action or the thrills. And I thought Simon Pegg did that brilliantly in this film. And now we come to the person who I think sold this entire movie with, Rebecca Ferguson. My God, this woman just came out of nowhere. I never really heard of her prior to this film. Yeah, she's very attractive, but one of my pet peeves in movies, when they hire somebody that's very attractive, or they have this really great star power, but they're supposed to be this really great, awesome fighter or badass, but then they don't look comfortable doing the action scenes, and they don't sell the fact that they're supposed to be this awesome fighter. I've been in martial arts pretty much my entire life, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves in movies nowadays. This chick kicks ass in this film. She sells every part of this character, and not only the fact that she's such a badass fighter and character, the reasoning behind her character is great. And I said it in my Mad Max Fury Road review. I want more out of my female leads, and I think Hollywood just needs to step up with their female characters, and this woman is a perfect example. They do play a little bit of the sexuality card a bit, but it didn't bother me as much because everything else about her character just made up for that. And of course, you can't talk about any kind of movie like this without talking about the main villain. And the main bad guy in this is Lane, played by Sean Harris. I'm kind of indifferent about this guy. The movie really plays on him being this person you're supposed to really fear, but I didn't get that kind of terrifying feeling from him as the villain. There is a moment in this film where it did bring that for me, but it only happened once, and I feel if it happened a little bit more, not overkill it, I think I would have loved him more as a villain. it just kind of fell short for me. And also, there's a couple other things that I didn't like about the film. For one, the pacing. I understand that they're trying to play up the espionage a little bit more, and you really can't do that with a whole bunch of action scenes back to back to back. Where it hits the lower points of the movie, when it tries to play that element up, the pacing kind of fell flat a little bit, and I wasn't bored. I was very interested in the movie, but I felt that they could have picked it up at certain points in the movie to keep me more interested than I already was, and keep me a little bit more hyped up. I think that's what Ghost Protocol did for me. From start to finish, the pacing was very well done, and I was constantly in the movie, and I was constantly hyped up for it. And I think that's where I think Ghost Protocol edges out this movie, for me at least. And I just feel if they would have picked up the pace a little bit more in certain areas of the film, it would have been better. And also, the way this film is structured overall, it felt like they're just going from big action piece to action piece to action piece, with a couple of espionage moments in between each scene, because it felt like Ethan was just going from stage to stage to stage. It's like, all right, we got this piece, now we need this piece, so we need to go here. All right, we got that piece, but now this piece is leading us to go here. And it felt like they were just taking the movie in stages, and that was kind of a weak point in the film for me. So, overall thoughts, I had a lot of fun with this movie. It is such a great blend of action, espionage, tension. It was a great fifth movie for this franchise. Tom Cruise was great in this movie. Simon Pegg brings his humor to this film very, very well. Rebecca Ferguson absolutely stole this movie. I really enjoyed her in this film. She can go ahead and beat my ass any day of the week if she wants to. But I had a couple issues with the villain. The film's pacing in a couple of spots were a little bit slow for my taste, and the overall structure of the film just felt like it was just taken in stages. So I'm giving Mission Impossible Rogue Nation a high five. So Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, have you guys seen it? What do you think about it? Leave a comment below, tell me your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that like button, help me out please, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this, you can click right here to see more videos. By Andrew. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.